Welcome everyone to the live discussion session with our international filmmakers in the fourth Sylhet Film Festival 2020. My name is Monaim Hussain and I'll be the host for this session. And I'll be joined by four filmmakers from four different countries in the world. But for now, we have only one filmmakers and the others are having network issues as always. It has been a real pain, but we shall must continue the show. So first of all, I'd like to introduce our guest, Laura. She's from Italy. Hi, Laura.
Hello. Hi everyone. I'm very happy to be here. Thank you so much for hosting me virtually. It's nice to travel to Bangladesh.
Thank you also very much because we are very honored to have you in our discussion session. Someone very experienced and also from abroad who can interact with us, and we can also share many informations about our film industries and cultures. So we are also very honored to have you. And inshallah, this time you are attending Bangladesh virtually, but next time you will be attending Bangladesh physically, I guess. We'll
Yeah,
see about that.
looking forward.
So, so first of all, I'd like you to introduce yourself and describe yourself in a few words, if you can.
Absolutely. So, as you said, I'm from Italy, and I've been part of the film world for 15 years. I started by working for film festivals, and I specialized in protocol of the red carpet. So, I work on red carpets with filmmakers and producers and actors. Then I freelance basically, so I move around from festival to festival. Venice Film Festival, I worked for Berlinale, in Qatar, in China. And so I'm always pleasantly surrounded by filmmakers. And little by little, I started programming as well. I run my own event, which is dedicated to women, films about women in sports. It's called Shocking Pink and Orphans. And I think because of all these influences, I really felt like telling my own story. So I came up with an idea and I decided to go all the way. So the first step was to take a script writing course because I had studied film history at uni, but I majored in foreign languages, so I didn't go to film school. Therefore, I took the script writing course, and it was an amazing experience. And once I had the script in my hands, I said, okay, now I want to go all the way. So little by little, it took me almost a year to put the project together because I was also producing it, not alone.
Oh,
I found a producer as well, Angelo Santovino from Film Rouge. And then little by little, I found sponsors and the locations I knew already because I shot my film where I was born. And so all the locations are places that are very dear to me and that I wanted to share with an audience because although I don't live where I was born anymore, I do think that it's a very special place. And so that was my main aim, basically. And that's it. And then I was honored because a very important Italian actor accepted my proposal. So he came to
oh,
yeah, he's the wise man, the old man in the film. He has a very short part, but it's a fundamental part in the film. And so I was so flattered that for my very first film, I could have such an icon in Italian cinema. And then, of course, also the other actors. I mean, they're all really, really special. The main character, Walter Cordopatri, is also a great budding actor. And last year, I also took him on the red carpet in Venice at the Venice Film Festival because he was there with another project. So I was dreaming
great.
about being on a red carpet with my own film. And that's it. So the film has been was released last year. This exactly a year ago. It was actually July. And it's been already to several festivals around the world, but this is my very first time in Bangladesh, and so I'm super happy about it. We're all very thrilled, and so thank you again.
Thank you very much, Laura. As you have stated, it seems like you are a very diversified person. You have been doing whatever you want, and you are living your life to the fullest. It's like you're living a dream. And by judging your expression and the way of talking, I can say that you're enjoying whatever you're doing. And that is a very great thing for a human, because most of the times we do not get what we want, but we have got it. You have got it, whatever what you wanted this time. So, Laura, now I would like you to talk about your film, which you have submitted into the festival.
Mhm.
Can you
Absolutely.
describe? Yes, yes.
Absolutely. So my film is quite multi-layered, but the main idea comes from a very special tradition in my hometown. So my hometown is Ivrea. It's a tiny city in the northern part of Italy, very close to the mountains. And people say that we are a little bit crazy because we celebrate, we have a big festival, which is Carnival. Carnival is very popular throughout Europe, but the way we celebrate it is special because we throw oranges at each other, and people believe this. It's a little bit like the tomatina in Spain, where they throw
Spain.
tomatoes, but we throw oranges. And the fight goes on for 3 days. And I was
Oh my
born,
God, 3 days.
yeah, 3 days for 3 4 hours. We fight in the afternoon, and there are 9 teams on foot and 40 carriages, and the carriages go around and they enter squares, and then the fight goes on, and it's crazy. I mean, you really have to experience it to understand the kind of craziness that it gets, but it's the most beautiful and vibrant moment to visit my city because it's full of colors. We paint all the flags of different teams on the squares. We put up flags around. It's really the most beautiful moment to shoot something. That's why I was so inspired by it. And also, I was born during this fight. It was not a good moment for my mom because you can imagine how difficult it was to get to the hospital in the middle of the fight. But that's came to this world, and so I've always had a very special connection with this event. Therefore, I wanted to talk about it in my film, but I didn't want to make a documentary about it because there are already quite a lot of documentaries about this event, but there was no short film, no fiction. So I decided, and because it's such a difficult also event to explain to someone who has never seen it, I decided to tell the story of a man in his mid 30s, and to use the carnival, this orange fight, as a metaphor, basically, for the story that the main character was living. Because I thought that people could identify themselves better if they were relating to a story that could feel a little bit more personal. And so they might understand the event that I'm talking about better. So I just use the carnival as a metaphor. For this reason, also cinematographically, I decided to use a different technique. So whereas the story, the main story of the character is shot just with in the regular way for the film, all the details that we shot during Carnival, we manipulated a little bit. So we enlarged them, we slowed them down, or we moved them, we fast forwarded them, because the two stories are on two different time frame. One is a metaphor, the other one is real life. So we need to use this. It was not so clear from the beginning, but this is something that we added in post-production, just to emphasize that it was a metaphor. And so basically my lead character is a little bit puzzled, let's say. He's built a lot of cages in his life, but it doesn't really fit in. He's afraid of leaving his comfort zone, but he also needs all the limitations to carry on because he's not that, he doesn't have a lot of courage to change his life, let's say. But then little by little, thanks also to a trip to Asia, you will just start to see that there is a different approach to life. And then in the film, I'm inquiring whether he will find the courage to really throw the first orange in the carnival of his own life. So basically, this is the story. And I used a lot of different symbols, and I know I'm challenging my viewer, but I did it on purpose because I like to be challenged as a viewer when I watch films. So I wanted to do the same with my audience, and I'm sure that not everyone will get the same details because there are too many, but everyone will be kind of led to the details that they prefer. At least that's what I hope. And I hope that people will get more interested in our event, which is the carnival. And maybe, who knows, maybe they will feel like coming to my hometown and experience it in person and try to throw some oranges.
Yeah, well, that is a very nice invitation, and I think rather than going to the Tomatino Festival in Spain, I'd like to attend this orange festival because I will get to eat orange, not tomato. I can't eat raw tomato,
The smell
so
is
I
at
will.
least better. The smell is really, really good.
Yeah, I know. Inshallah, if I have the chance, if I can get the opportunity, I will obviously go to your country to and your hometown to attend the Orange Festival. In the meantime, I think you will come to Bangladesh, and you have put really a lot of thoughts and a lot of ideas behind your film. And by judging the character, I think is it a little bit inspired by yourself? Is it inspired by yourself? I can have the gesture of that it is somehow related to you, I guess.
There is a lot of me in the story. There is a lot of me. But I think that's the case for a lot of filmmakers because when we get ideas, we get influenced, of course, but by a lot of things that are going on in our life. But mostly, well, apart from the big attachment that I have with this festival that I've already explained, in the story, I would say that I met many Lorenzos in my life. Lorenzo is the name of my character.
Yes, yes,
Uh,
yes.
I use Lorenzo as a symbol of someone who would love to do something, but they lack that. Okay, let's do it. Let's try, and let's leave all the what if aside. So the approach I had with my own life, and also because of my job, because I'm a freelance, um, I've always tried. I mean, my theory is always at most it will not work, but at least I've tried. And a lot of time I met people along the way who were telling me, "Oh yeah, but you started traveling when you were very young, and yeah, so now it's easy to take the first plane and go work in China." And no, it's not easy. It's not easy. Nothing comes for anything. I mean, there are every choice implies giving up something and putting a lot of effort into it. It's not easy, but it's not because it's not easy that you should not do it, basically. So I've always tried to really motivate these Lorenzos that they were always saying, "Yeah, I would love to do it, but then what if it starts raining? What if I don't make it?" Forget about it. Forget about it. What if? Just do it, and then we'll see. And then if it rains, you'll find an umbrella somewhere. So in this sense, there's a lot of me in that film. I was really fed up with all the Lorenzos on my way, and I wanted to give them the courage, even on the screen, to just throw this orange. Because once you throw it, then you'll throw any others. It's just a matter of taking the first step.
Yes, I agree with you in the last one, what I said. The taking the first step, taking the initial step is the hardest one to do because all sorts of obstacles, all sorts of regrets, and all sorts of hesitation comes when you're taking the first step. But if you are brave enough and if you take the first step, then hopefully rest of the others will come better, I think.
Yeah.
And
It was
your
sorry,
yes.
it was the same for this film. I mean, at the beginning, really, I didn't have any money. I had zero, zero, zero on the budget. No sponsors, no nothing. I didn't even have a producer. It was just me and my idea. But I strongly believed in it. And the lack of everything else would not prevent me from going on. And again, I'm not saying it was easy. There were some days that I was so frustrated. I said, "Oh man, who made me do this? It's why did I even come up with this crazy idea?" I was so happy on my red carpet, just taking other people who had taken the effort of making a movie. Why did I want to put myself into this situation? But then the reward was so great, and it was such an emotional journey, and so energizing that it was totally worth it. Totally worth it. So even if it feels impossible at the beginning because no one seems to believe in you, then little by little, I think if you are enthusiastic enough and if you believe strongly in your idea, you'll get there one way or the other.
Well, I can say one thing for sure, that I can feel your emotion and I can relate it to ourselves. When I am also a founding member of the hosting organization of this festival, and when we first started this organization and organizing the first festival, I know how much hardship we felt and how much obstacles we had to go through, and there were some people who did not believe in us. But little by little, taking small steps, now we have come to the fourth festival, and we are being able to speak with you. I'm sitting in Bangladesh, you're sitting in Italy. That's spectacular. It couldn't be imagined into the first festival, but now we are in the fourth festival. We're doing this. This is very great. And in case of independent filmmaking, not only in Bangladesh or not also in Italy, but also in the whole world, we're facing the same situation. Taking the first step is the hardest step. But if we can take it bravely and we can pull us together, then we can go forward. And obviously, we will have the success. So I would like to know about those initial days. You have been working in related to film industry, independent filmmaking since 2004, if I'm correct. How was those first days? Back to the 2004, 15 years ago. How was those first days for you? How you felt?
Um, how it was working in independent filmmaking, you mean?
You associated yourself with film festivals and film festivals and other film related stuff since 2004, right? So how
Mm-hmm.
was those first days for yourself, and how your surroundings reacted to you choosing independent filmmaking or freelancing as your career? How that all came together for yourself?
Okay. Okay. Yeah, the beginning was absolutely crazy, I would say. In my case, I knew exactly what I wanted from my career, but I didn't know how to call this job, basically. So in my case, I just basically built it a little by little, a little by little, a little brick after the other. When I started, when I after graduating, I just knew that I wanted to travel, that I wanted to speak languages, and that I wanted to get in touch with different cultures because that's always been my main passion. And I've always believed that a job should be first and foremost a passion. I know that there are not very many people who are so lucky to have such jobs, but for me that was really very important. It was fundamental. So basically, I started off by doing something different. I was taking care of guests in international holiday resorts, and I worked in the Dominican Republic and Egypt. Then I moved to, because I missed the cultural side, so I moved to America to teach Italian, and I did that in a university for a year, but that was too academic. I missed the fun part. And so I really had to find something in between that would be a little bit of entertaining and a little bit of culture. And when I came back to my country, I a friend of mine basically looked for me because I could speak English, and they needed someone to work for a film festival. And in that moment,
Oh,
dots connected basically. And I was, wow, this was exactly what I was looking for. There is culture, there is traveling, there is an international atmosphere. I'm able to meet a lot of people. And so that's how it started. It was in 2004 in a small festival that does not even exist anymore, unfortunately, in my region. And from there onwards, it was just like when you enter a house and you say, I could live here. It felt right from the beginning. I had no doubts that that was my path. And then, of course, it's not been a straight line ever since. There were ups and downs and several bumps on the way. But yeah, now I do run my own company, and I like to be challenged all the time. So I started from smaller film festivals, then I went to bigger ones, and then I've been part of the Venice Film Festival for 15 years, and then I started working for festivals abroad, and then as far as my own little event, yeah, I feel it's really, I really relate to what you were saying. The beginning was terrible because again, no one knew this event, and it was hard to find films and to find sponsors. But then now we managed to get to the third edition. So I think it's really, especially in our field, it's all a work in progress. But brick after brick, you really make something. And then there's always time along the way to change a little bit. Like I did last year with this film. I needed a new challenge, and this was a big one indeed. So, as far as independent filmmaker, yeah, my experience is very limited because I've just been an independent filmmaker for a year. But it was very similar to when I was a festival worker for the first time, or to when I started my own festival. It's all just a matter of starting, as we were saying, and of finding the courage to throw the orange.
well, you have been a fighter, and as you've said, you were born during the orange fight, and I think it was very tough for you throwing the orange, but you were suited to do this. And as you have said that the story behind working into a film festival in 2004, you were born into that orange fight, and you were also destined to work as a freelancer and also related to films. Just like it connected yourself with that festival, I guess.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. After all, good moment to come to life.
Yeah. Now, you have mentioned one thing when you were introducing yourself, the soft pink endorphins, I guess that's the pronunciation. I forgot. You have invented it. This is a focus on film. I'd like you to describe this invention of yourself, and what was your motivation? What are you doing with this? And what is its current situation right now? What is your vision and goal regarding this?
Regarding my festival, you say? Sorry, the voice went away for a
Yes,
little
yes, yes.
while, so I missed the first part. Okay, my vision. Okay. Well, the idea behind it basically was when I go to festivals as a jury member or as a programmer, I always think I'm blessed because I get access to films that unfortunately do not make it to cinemas. So the main idea behind it was to show people the films, the little gems that I find around the world, and that a lot of times are not shown in Italy, unfortunately, if not for people who belong to this sector. But the idea it was also to combine again two of my biggest passions, so cinema and sports. I used to play volleyball. I played volleyball for 11 years in a semi-professional way, and that's always been very important.
Oh,
Yeah, sports has always helped me a lot. And actually, a lot of the things that I learned by being part of a team, I used later on in life by being part of film festivals teams, or even being part of the crew on set. So a lot of dynamics are very similar, I would say. So I've always felt that, if we want to say that, to everything that volleyball has given to me in life. And so I said, okay, let's put these two things together. And I had happened to watch quite a few interesting films about women sport players. And I said, yeah, why not? So I called this event the Shocking Pink Endorphin. Endorphin, because endorphins are something that we produce when we are happy. So I wanted to give this idea of energy from the title of the festival. And Shocking Pink, because it's not just pink, it's shocking. So it's something that surprises you. So the titles I choose are always very unusual films, I would say. So I'm not interested in a documentary about Fiona May, who won 10 gold medals. I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in movies that tell a story, an intriguing story, and use sports as a way to talk about something bigger. So challenges in life, challenges, sport as a way to overcome a personal difficult moment, or a situation of war, or a situation of social instability, or familiar instability also. I'm very interested in those stories. So sport is basically a way to open a window on other topics. And yeah, we're now in the third edition. I had to postpone it this year. It was supposed to be in May, but I postponed it to the fall. Hopefully, we can do it. And it takes place in Venice, because I live in Venice at the moment. So I swap oranges for canals and boats.
well, that was funny, and I think in Venice you will be able to uh, organize your festival more organizedly, and you'll be able to spread it as much as you want. But it is very nice to hear about you, that you have turned your passion into something, also your career, but now into an invention, and you're trying to spread it among the whole world, and you have your own idealism. That is something not most of the people can come up with. So it is really a very good thing, and I hope that this festival of yours will continue to rise and rise and rise and rise.
Thank you so
So, yes, thank you. So I was wondering, you have traveled to many countries and also have interacted yourself with a lot of film festivals. So you had the opportunity to experience some of the independent filmmaking industries or other filmmakers. What country or what sorts of filmmaking traditions did you you like most during your journey?
tradition, just similar to our carnival, or tradition in general?
Tradition in general, like you have visited China, or you have also visited other 2 or 3 countries. You have also interacted yourself with their films, their independent filmmaking circuits. So, which one did you like most? Which one most fascinated you?
Haha, this is a very tricky one. It's like asking if you prefer your father or your mother, because there's a. I actually I get very attached to places, and I have, I would say, the luck of finding nice things everywhere I go. So that's why I love traveling, because I like to spot all these special things. There are several countries that fascinated me the most, though, and I must admit my heart goes to Asia all the time. if I have free time, or if I have to accept a work-related project, if the proposal comes from Asia, it's almost a yes already. I have a soft spot for Asia, and in general, the Indian subcontinent is
Oh,
really. I mean, not because I'm talking to you, but really, I have a soft spot for that. I was in Nepal, I was in Bhutan, and in India, and and in Sri Lanka as well. Those four places uh, really are connected to some of my best memories. I've never been to this part of the world, to the Indian subcontinent for work. It's always been for pleasure, but I keep coming back. It's like an addiction, really. And regarding places where I lived, so where I spent a little bit more time, I had a great time in Qatar. I was working for the Doha Film Institute, and what I liked the most about that culture was it was extremely welcoming, and they really care about food, like my culture. I really enjoy eating, and the atmosphere was so international. Really, I had so many colleagues from all over the world. I mean, even countries that for us are very difficult to be exposed to. Yemen. I had a colleague from Yemen. I had never met anyone from Yemen. And so for me, that was really mind blowing, because every night we would organize, I don't know, for example, a Lebanese evening, and the Lebanese colleagues were hosting dinner. And then it was an Italian night at my place. That was really, really impressive. In China, I work in Macau, and there I really enjoy the tea culture, because I'm a big fan of tea, and the attention that they put to tea and to celebrations also. At our festival, the day before the festival, we have a ceremony to basically ask the gods for blessings, and there is a dragon that dances on the red carpet as a sign of good luck for the festival. And the festival director asks for good weather, for good health, for good films, and for the audience to have a very good experience at the festival. For me, that was like when I took part in it for the first time. Wow, I was impressed, because in my country we don't do these kind of things. I mean, we can hope that the weather is nice, so we don't have to use an umbrella on the red carpet, but we don't do ceremonies for that. And so for me, having such a strong feeling of traditions and rituals was wow. I was very impressed. I still get goosebumps when thinking about it. So I don't know if I answered you, but there is something special about every place where I've been, and I must admit I left a little piece of me in all these countries, but certainly Asia, 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 all the time for me.
it is very nice to know that you like Asia so much, but it is also I also feel a little bit of sad because you have touched Bhutan, you have touched Nepal, you have touched India, even Sri Lanka, but you did not have the opportunity to come to Bangladesh. But I guess
I
next
know,
time
I
it
know.
will change. Well, for your information, I can say that Bangladesh is also very rich in its tradition. And as you've said that you like tea very much, the city in which we generally host this festival, Sylhet. Sylhet is also a city of tea garden, and we also export tea. And this is a very popular popular thing to drink in our country. We also love to drink tea very much. And the thing you have said that some rituals in case of for good weather or something others. Bangladesh has also a similar bit of something, but mostly in the rural region, rural region where the mostly the villagers do it. But day by day, these traditions are losing their ways. But still they have a soft spot in our mind. And if you visit our country, I think you will be able to observe all of them. You'll also be able to observe the tribal people in our country, and you'll also be able to connect yourself. It is very nice to see that you're connecting yourself spiritually, not also our the casual filmmaking sense, but you're also interacting with the culture of these countries. You're also living a part of yourself, which can be described as you're connecting yourself spiritually there, and that is why you're so joyous, and you can make so much good memories anywhere you go. And I hope that you can continue doing that in the near future. So
Thank you.
uh, now I'd like to go back to Italy for now, from Asia and other places. So how is it? I'd like to you have told your experience regarding your starting as a filmmaker or someone related to film industry, but what is the present situation of someone who wants to begin his career as a filmmaker, the independent filmmaking circuit? What is the present situation of this in Italy? How people are coping up with that, and how it is accepted by others?
Well, yeah, I think that for everyone who wants to start this career, well, the first thing is watch as many films as possible, because I think that's the best gym. Because even what I love about festivals is that sometimes you are forced to see some films that you would not pick yourself. Because I think we all tend to be a little bit predictable. Once we know our tastes, then we follow that them and we go on and on. But festivals force you to go beyond, to look beyond. And so maybe there is a film that it's not my taste, but I'll try to watch it. And then you discover something amazing. You might even discover a new passion, or you might decide that that's what you don't want to do. So be challenged. Let yourself be challenged. And then also, I think another very important thing that independent film festivals are also doing is trying to make independent film festivals and film festivals in general try to make connections because in our world, the film world, it's so important to know as many people as possible. And this doesn't mean, oh, I know the director of that festival, he will pick my film. No, it's not what I mean. It's the more filmmakers I talk to, the more producers, festival organizers, the more ideas I get. So if someone is about to start this profession, I think that when going to a film festival, rather than just enjoying the film and then go home, just stop the filmmaker that did the Q&A, ask something, go out for a beer, just chat. Maybe not as much as me. I know I'm very talkative, but a little bit at least. So you never know. Something might come in handy later on. And just to give a little example, the guy who made the musics in my film, the initial song is by a famous singer, but all the other songs were composed by this guy. He used to be in my high school. Then we lost track of each other for 20 years completely. Like I didn't even know what he was up to. I didn't know anything. When I was shooting my film, a local newspaper wrote an article about it. He read the article and he found me on Facebook. He dropped me a line and he told me he had become a musician and he was putting music to commercials. And he said, I would love to do it for a film, but I never had the chance to. I'm sure you found someone already for the musics, but I just wanted you to know. And actually, in that moment, I had no one in mind for musics. And we met, and I explained him the project, and he came up with this amazing tunes that were perfectly in line with what I wanted, because he specializes in this kind of It's a little bit like a country music, which in general would not be appropriate with such an introspective film. But because it comes from my area, he managed to put those landscapes into music. And so just because of that Facebook message, he made music, he composed music for my film. So this is what I mean. Never be afraid to say what you want to do, what you're looking for, because maybe not right now, maybe in 15 years from now, or maybe never, I don't know. It's just the magic of life, but maybe something will come up. So don't be shy. Yeah, probably if someone is shy, things are a little bit more difficult, but just try.
Well, yeah, this is very true that we can't stop if if you're determined to do something, and if we get on the track, then we should not stop. We should look out for others. We should look out for solutions, and hopefully, it will come to us, just like you got it. And as I've said earlier, that sometimes those who really want to do these sort of stuff, they get connected to it by fate or destiny. And this has been, and you have been proving this for at least from the very beginning of this session. And this might be true for also others, but also there are some people who are facing hardship, but uh, eventually success comes up eventually. So we just have to be patient.
True.
Patience is the most important thing, I guess, in this.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, Laura, about your choice. Now I'm going to put into you another tricky position. I'm, I'm warning you, I'm going to put you in another tricky position, which is outside Italy. What is your favorite film, and why did you like it? Outside Italy, I'm not talking about your films based on Italy. Outside Italy.
Hmm. My favorite film. That is a very tough one. I have a. Can I say more than one?
Uh, I have told you that I'm going to put you in a tricky position. You've been warned.
Uh,
Okay, you can say more than one.
I really, really, really like Alejandro González Iñárritu. He's a Mexican filmmaker, and I think his stories are incredible. Like Babel, to name one, probably that was my favorite. The way the plot is intertwined. I mean, those three stories seem totally unrelated, and just by the last shot, you realize that there is really a thread connecting them all. I think he managed to capture the magic of life, because sometimes life is really like that. You make connections with people at the opposite side of the world without even knowing. And capturing that on a film, I think, is really challenging. And there's also another filmmaker. He's Turkish, but he defines himself Italian because he's lived in Italy for so long. His name is Ferzan Ozpetek. And yeah, I would say that my fascination with movies started with him in a way, because he manages to capture my culture in a way that I think only someone who comes from outside can. Um, it captures the beauty of it and the bad things about it, and yet explains them in a very poetical way. But again, just like in Iñárritu's movies, his movies are very introspective. I'm really interested in the way the mind works, and the way people behave, because a lot of times I'm struggling to understand them. So uh, by by watching films where they try to explain people's behaviors, I hope that I get a better understanding of people and the world. So this is certainly my favorite genre. But I also like to be surprised. I presented my film in a festival in Russia, and I just the weather was not very nice, so I locked myself in the cinema and I watched movies all day. I discovered a wonderful film from Kazakhstan. I think I've watched 4 films from Kazakhstan in my whole life. And this one was so moving, so touching. I had tears in my eyes, and so yeah, there are just I like to be surprised all the time, and my list of favorite films keeps getting longer and longer.
Okay. You have made it clear that the films that you liked, you have taken lessons from that. You have thought about them, you have analyzed them, and then you have kept them in your mind, and you also put it in use in your works. I can get it. So we are going to near the end of our session, but there is something which has been itching. Whenever we talk about Italy, one thing comes in our mind outside of Italy, which is The Godfather. The Godfather. It was a book by Mario Puzo. I think you know that, and it was also it also became a film. And Marlon Brando was on that. Al Pacino also. Marlon Brando portrayed the character of the Godfather. Have you seen it? The
Can I?
Godfather.
No.
Okay. So in The Godfather, they portrayed the very much situation of the mafia wars in Italy, and they have also portrayed some wars about two groups and following things about mafias. So in Italy, this was seemed as a very common culture as a subject of film in the past century, but now it has been changed a lot. How is this? How is the situation over there right now, or how the portrayal of is it justified that the things which is portrayed in the films, not only Godfather, I'm saying for overall all other films and medias, how it is the portrayal of this kind of things? Is it real or is it just exaggerated? What is in your opinion?
My opinion. Well, yeah, as I said, I haven't seen this film. Of course, I know what it is about. It's not my kind of film. As I was saying, sometimes I am a little bit lazy, and unless I'm forced to really watch something, I don't want to go into it. I think that when it was shot, it was certainly one of the pressing topics. So it was certainly accurate. It captured a situation that we were going through. There are still quite a few films that are still basically dealing with this difficult topics. I see it when I'm on juries, especially. I was on, in the past 2 years, I was part of Italian film festivals, juries, and just of the national competition. And I could sense a common trend of Italian films lately. Most of them now deal with the problems of immigrants, because that's, again, one of the most, I would say, of the hottest topics at the moment. Especially, most of them are set in the south, so in Sicily, just the areas where immigrants normally enter our country, or also, the eastern part of Italy. So this is a recurrent pattern, but I've also seen quite a few series like 000 by Stefano Sollima. Is That's set in Calabria, again in the southern part of Italy, and it talks about itchy issues, just like in we can say it could be the modern Godfather kind of, and it's also the series where the lead character of my film was playing, and that's the one that that he presented in Venice, and where I took him on the red carpet. So yes, these topics are still very relevant, and they're part of this genre of films that portray in a fictionalized way some parts of reality. But
Well, I guess.
to me, all that is very. I mean, that's the world we live in, and it's important. But what interests me the most as a viewer and also as a director is what goes on inside us. Because outside, yeah, that's true. But the outside is there. It's where we move. But first and foremost, we are moved by what is going on inside. So our emotions, our thoughts, our passions, our ideas. That is very intriguing to me. It's I've always been very, very mesmerized, even I would say, by that. But
Well,
I will watch
Italy
it,
has.
Godfather. That's a promise. I will watch it. I should watch it.
No, no, no. It's okay. It's okay. I was just talking about the subject of this film, because in past, where also the writers, I have also read some books of some writers. Those kind of books also commonly plotted this kind of situations. So, in case of those who love to watch movies or those who read books, they always have the glimpse of. These kind of things in Italy. But actually, what I like most about the art and culture about Italy, say for Venice, the city of boats, I love it. I love it very much. Though it is, though many people go to Venice and travel in Venice, and this is very fascinating city. And also, it will be incomplete if I don't talk about Leonardo da Vinci, because he's a sort of mastermind of everything. And I don't know, he's a many what should I say? He's a very respected person, and he did everything he wanted. And I don't know in how many subjects he did not had his hand on, but whatever he pitched on that time, he was more ahead of his time, and his drawings and his paintings and his ideas are still a mystery to all. And I'm very fascinated by that. And I hope that in future I'll be able to visit Italy. Well, I was expecting that I could visit in your festival, which you're going to arrange this time, fall in this year. But I think I won't be able to. But inshallah, I will be able to visit Italy one day. And as you have said, that you should come to Bangladesh. You should visit Bangladesh, the places, and also we will be able to see you in next year in our festival.
I'd
If
love.
I'm not here, there are other people, but we will meet again, I
Thank you
think.
so much. I can't wait, really.
So,
And it will be a pleasure to welcome you as well to my country.
of course. So I think this will be the end of our discussion session. And we are arranging this festival for 10 days. There will be many more discussion, many more screenings. And I hope you will enjoy our film festival at the fullest. And like always, you will rise up to your success, and you'll continue to rise, and you'll also find a very good way with your festival. And I hope you'll be very well, and we'll be seeing you in Bangladesh next year.
Thank you so much again for the festival, for giving me this great opportunity. I thoroughly enjoyed this chat, and it made me feel a little bit as if I were in Sylhet at the moment. I know it's quite late there already, so thank you for bearing with me and with my chattiness. and
No, no, no. I also very much enjoyed it.
and I really look forward to visiting your festival. I wish you the best of luck for the next days. I've already seen some great movies so far, and I'm looking forward to watching the rest of the movies and to listening to more discussions like this. So thank you so much again for selecting my film and for this great opportunity.
Thank you very much for your film, and thank you very much for coming here. And we'll be sure to uh, attend that orange fight in the future.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Never be scared to throw oranges.
No, I won't be scared to throw orange. If I'm scared to throw the orange, I'll eat the orange. Just I can guarantee you.
There you go. Then you're ready to come
Uh,
to the festival.
okay, then we're ending this session. Goodbye, and hope you'll be back in the future.
Goodbye. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao, ciao.